Hello, in this video we're gonna be blocking our character based on the model sheet that we made in the last video. This is gonna be an important part because this is gonna be making things easier to sculpt and then to finish our character in the future. So we're gonna be basically moving around in Blender, placing some cubes, some spheres, and some cylinders until we get a human form that is gonna be perfect for sculpting. So let's get started. As you can see, I have a Blender file open here. It's completely default, so we have to set up some little stuff. I imagine that you already know how to use Blender, at least just the basics, because this series is gonna be like between basics and intermediate. Because this series it's not gonna be completely basics because I want you to just follow me. And I don't want to teach how to use Blender. I just want to teach how to create a character in Blender. So I'm gonna imagine that you already know how to use Blender, just like how to move things, how to rotate, how to scale, these basic things. And if you don't, you can see the keys that I'm pressing on this little side right here. Like if I press T, you can see here. If I press S, you can see there. And that is it. So for now, I'm gonna be pressing T to hide this little thing. I'm gonna hide the timeline as well because you're not gonna be using this in this moment. I'm gonna be deleting everything because I'm not gonna use it too, and I'm gonna see the viewport from this front view, and I'm gonna add a cube. I'm gonna move it a bit up like this, and I'm gonna go into the edit mode and scale it on the X and Y axis and move it like this to make it a bit more smaller. And I'm gonna remove all the height of it. And now I'm gonna press GZ 1.74 and enter. This is gonna be a reference for our character. This is gonna be the height reference. Like our character that we are making right now is 1 meter and 74 centimeters tall. If your character is shorter than that or taller than that, you're gonna have to adjust it. So I'm gonna call it height reference, and I'm gonna move it into another collection called references. This is gonna be a collection where you're gonna be using just references and not really gonna use it at in the final render. And I'm gonna be just activating this little thing here to select and deselect some objects. And now I'm gonna be putting the model sheet into the Blender file so we can use it as a base. I'm gonna scale it until the character matches the size of the cube because it's the size reference. I'm gonna make sure the feet is touching this little red line, which is the ground. And I'm gonna make sure it's the same height as the cube. Gotta move it a bit up and scale it. I'm gonna see if the feet is touching the ground again. And that is it. We have the height fixed. I can hide this for now, and I'm gonna be moving this little model sheet to the center. If you pay attention, you can see that there is a blue line here and the middle line of the character, and those lines have to align with each other like this. So this is the frontal view for the character. This is gonna be the model sheet that I will be using to do the frontal view. I'm gonna call it model sheet front, and I'm gonna move it to the reference collection. So now we're gonna be duplicating this little model sheet. So I'm gonna be pressing Shift D, Y, and rotating 90 degrees on the Z axis, like this. Let's make sure the side view is close to the frontal view, like this. Because we're gonna be using this view and this view to model the character. Yep, this is looking good. I'm gonna rename this to model sheet side and move it to the references collection. And here, this is enough for the model sheet. I'm gonna be saving this file on a folder for this tutorial, and I'm gonna be calling this Felix Lovejoy, because it's the name of the character and it's the file for him. I recommend you to do the same. Save or blend the file. Control S. Done. And now we're gonna start to add some objects such as spheres, cylinders, and cubes to make the size and to make the whole body before you start sculpting it. This is probably going to be one of the easiest parts because you're just gonna be like, add a sphere, move it up, scale it down, move it up, scale it down, make sure it is the same size as the head, like this. Move, oh, we have to do a little thing. We gotta select the model sheets and make sure they align with the center, like it has to align with the center of the object. In this case, it's the little sphere. Yeah, this is enough. Oh, and there's one more thing to do. We have to hide the back view. So we're gonna be pressing this little thing here. Inside has to appear only the front. So we can see only the front view, but not the back view of it. It's gonna be making easier to see the model. Same thing on the other image. Now let's keep editing the little sphere. This is gonna be the head. Gotta scale it like this, and we're basically just gonna follow the shape of the character using basic spheres and basic cubes like this. And now we're gonna be going into the edit mode, selecting this little vertex here. We're gonna be using this little tool here to make things more smooth. Move it down, scale it just a bit. Seeing the side view as well. And we're gonna basically just move it around like the shape of the character. I'm gonna be activating this little X here because it's to make things more symmetrical on both of the sides. And I'm gonna be moving it here like this, and then this here, this, until it covers the whole image. So this has to be like this, and then this is gonna be here. And basically you're just gonna be making sure that the whole object matches with the image reference. So this is it for the side view. Now we're gonna do the front view. Now we're gonna do the same thing for the frontal view, but this time we're gonna be moving only on the sides like this, on the x-axis like this. I'm gonna be creating another loop cut here, so I'm gonna select all of these and press Ctrl B and do this little thing. I'm gonna make maybe 2 is enough to have a bit more of symmetry and like more shape. And we're just gonna keep doing the same thing until it covers the image and we get the shape of the head. So this is it for the head. This is the basic model for the head. And now we're gonna be creating the rest of the body. It's gonna be much easier. I'm gonna add a cube, bring it up, scale it down. This is gonna be the chest, so I'm gonna be putting it around here. On edit mode, and I'm gonna be getting this little face here, bringing it up, changing the scale on the X side, adding a loop cut here, making it a bit more bigger. And now for the side view, it's basically just the same thing as we did with the head. So just follow my steps like this. Make sure everything aligns like this. It doesn't need to be completely perfect because you're gonna be making more details in the sculpture. So it doesn't have to be completely perfect right now because we're gonna be changing it later. This is just a basic shape to get just a simple idea of how this is gonna be looking like. I'm gonna be creating the neck. Oh, and this little movement that I did, I pressed E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude, rotate a little bit and move around. I have to make sure it aligns with the reference. So this is the initial torso. It's too big, I know. We're gonna be changing it in a few minutes. I'm gonna make sure the neck is like the same size. So I'm gonna be changing this just a little bit like this. Make sure it goes inside the head. I'm gonna grab this little piece here and this other little piece up here. And doing this. And this is it. Now for the corners, I'm gonna be selecting the edges, all of the fours, all of them like this, because to select the whole segment of edges, you just gotta press Alt and then select it, just like here, you see? And now I'm gonna be creating a bevel. I'm gonna press Ctrl B and do the same thing as we did in the face. And I'm gonna be doing this like this, just to make a bit more round and not to look completely like a piece of square. This is it for the torso. Now the rest of the waist. It's gonna be like this. Extrude, scale it down, move around according to the model sheet. Extrude, scale, move around according to the side view, and do this until we get to this little point here. So for that, we gotta be creating another loop cut in the middle, like this, and delete this little face down here, and delete this little face up here too. And now we're gonna be creating another loop cut right here in the middle. Do not forget to create a loop cut in the middle on the back as well, because I had forgotten to do this. But now it's fixed. Now select all of the left side and delete the faces. And now we're gonna be using a modifier, which is the mirror. Everything we do here is gonna be appearing here as well, because we're using the x-axis. So we don't need to be doing this here and then the same thing on the other side. It's gonna be automatic. And now we have to edit this little part here of the groin. So I'm gonna be using the transparent fill. So I'm gonna be selecting the transparent fill to select the vertices like this and move them around. And do the same thing with these others. And make sure it matches with the model sheet. Just like this. Because from here, we're gonna be create some legs. I'm gonna select all of these edges back here, and I'm gonna be activating this little option here, clipping, to make sure they stay together and they don't ever separate. Done. And now this is gonna be the leg, so I have to create another loop cut in the back and make sure it aligns with the front. And make sure it aligns with the front fill. And we're gonna be selecting this little edge and then this edge and pressing F to bring them together like this. And now we're gonna be creating a few more loop cuts here to make a little curve like this, following the model sheet reference. So this has to be here. I'm gonna create a new one here and break it a bit down like this. This is gonna be more like this. And this one is gonna be much more like this. So I can select this face and bring a bit up. And from here, we're gonna be creating the legs. Now we're gonna be selecting this loop right here. And now we're just gonna press E, Z, and that is it. And now S, Z, 0. And we're gonna be placing the sides around here, making sure it fits with the model sheet until it has the same size, like this. And now in the side view, the same thing. Fix it here, here. Move this little back part a bit more here, like this. I'm gonna create a new loop cut here to make sure it fits like this. I'm gonna be moving this little detail here a bit up. And now the legs, we're just gonna be bringing it down until the knees and scale it a bit down like this. Side view, same thing, and finished. Gotta change this little detail here, make it a bit thicker, like this. Bring it a bit down, like this. This one here too, a bit thicker. Always making sure it fits with the model sheet. And now I think you can imagine how the process is going to be from here. So I'm just gonna speed it up a bit. And this is it for the legs. This is pretty basic. This is just the blocking I usually do. And I think we can continue from here for the arms. But I'm gonna be doing it a bit different, and I'm gonna be creating another sphere, and I'm gonna be using this for the arms. I'm gonna scale it down and bring it up, scale, bring it up, and I'm gonna be scale it like this until it matches with the size of the arm, just like this. We're gonna be editing this, so it doesn't matter at all if it's wrong or not. This is just the basic shape for the character. This is gonna be one arm. This is gonna be the forearm, and here the other part of the arm. Gonna be adding to the size of it, like this. And I'm gonna create a new sphere for the shoulders. Bring it a bit up like this and make sure it fits with the model sheet. Make sure it looks good on the side view. Gotta be rotating it just a bit like this. And I'm gonna select this and press Ctrl J to gather all of them. And I'm gonna be going to the edit mode to change some little details here. Like this one has to be thicker. Select this other option here, connecting only, so it's gonna affect only this object. Scale it and scale this part here. Move it a bit to the side. And now this little part here until it matches with the model sheet. And this is it for the front view. Now the side view, we have to edit just a bit. It's almost pretty enough, but just gotta change a little details here, like here for the elbows. Just gotta be moving it just a little bit for the elbows like this. And I believe that this is enough. I would not make the hands right now because we're gonna have a separated video for the hands. So I am not gonna be making the hands right now because the hands have to have a bit more of attention. So we're not gonna be doing this right now. I'm gonna be selecting the arm and the rest of the body and pressing Ctrl J. So it's gonna be mirroring it. And the head, well, we can apply the modifier like this by pressing Ctrl A. And we're gonna be gathering the head to the body. And I'm gonna be renaming this to Alex Lovejoy blocking reference. I believe this is enough. This is just the blocking of the character, and I'm just gonna change just a little details, which is I'm gonna be pressing Ctrl A to apply all transforms of it, so it's gonna be the same size and same rotation always. And now on the edit mode, I'm gonna be changing just a little thing, like this cake is a little weird. So I'm gonna be bringing this a bit here, a bit up. This really doesn't matter at all because you're gonna be fixing all of this on the sculpture process. So this is just to make things a bit more good looking, you know, just for now. Oh, and to get this symmetry I'm doing right now without the modifier of the mirror, I have this little option here turned on, which is on the x-axis. So this is it for this little part. I'm gonna create a new loop cut here, another one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. This is it for the body. And now, just one little thing. We're gonna be pressing Ctrl 2. So we get a subdivision modifier. Because with this modifier, we're gonna be getting much more polygons like this and making things more fluid and more smooth and a bit better, you know. So I'm gonna be going to the edit mode. I'm gonna be turning on this little option here. I'm gonna select this vertex and I'll be moving it a bit to the side like this until we have a smooth transition to the shoulders like this. This other one here, gotta be moving it like this. I think this is kind of smooth. Gotta be selecting this face here and moving this a bit back like this. I'm gonna select this little edges here in the middle to get the shape of the chest like this. I'm gonna be moving this a bit to the side by pressing I'm gonna be pressing G twice to move this a bit to the side like this. And I think this is it. We are done with the blocking. We're not gonna be making the hands right now because this is gonna be much more complicated to make the hands. So for this tutorial, it's gonna be enough. And I'm gonna just edit this little detail on the legs because it's kind of too sharp for me. And this is it. I believe this is all for this tutorial. We are done with the blocking for our character, and now we have the base shape for our character, so we can use this as a sculpture in the next video. I'm gonna be moving this model to the reference collection, and also I'm gonna be duplicating it. I'm gonna hide the original one, and I'm gonna just, in the copy one, I'm gonna rename to sculpture. And then we're gonna be able to start sculpting the character based on the model sheet and also on this little guy here, which it's not looking completely like a character, but in the future he's gonna be looking much cooler. And this is it. This was the video for the basic blocking for our character. This is the final result. I hope that you got something similar to this following your model sheet. And this is pretty much just this. In the next video, we're gonna start sculpting our character. We're gonna start sculpting by the head. So this is it. This is the final result for the blocking of our character. I hope this was useful and easy to understand. And if you have any problems or doubts, you can comment down here. I'm gonna try to answer you all. And this is it. I hope it was useful and easy, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye.